They said it was worthless. Just a common penny. Something you toss in a change jar, forget in a glove box, or hand to a child for candy. But what if I told you, one specific 1967 Lincoln penny, with no mint mark at all, has quietly turned the right collector into a near millionaire? Before you dismiss this as another coin myth, let me ask you something. What if the penny you spent last week could have been worth $9.99, 500? What if the coin sitting in your drawer right now, dusty, ignored, held a secret so rare, so hidden, that even seasoned collectors walk right past it? Most people never look closely, most people miss it, but the ones who do, never forget it. And here's where it gets strange: this coin isn't flashy. It doesn't scream value. In fact, it's so subtle, so normal looking, that it's almost cruel, but behind the quiet copper surface is one of the rarest minting errors in Lincoln penny history. A mistake so elusive, it passed through circulation undetected for decades, until one sharp-eyed man in Michigan spotted it, and walked away with nearly $1 million. Let's pull back the curtain. It's 1967. America is buzzing with change. The war in Vietnam, civil rights marches, and a coin shortage that rocked the entire U.S. mint system. That year, in an attempt to simplify operations, the U.S. government made a decision: stop putting mint marks on coins altogether. Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco mints all struck coins, but none of them bore their usual identifying marks. But something else happened that year. Something no one expected. Some coins struck in Philadelphia, especially in the penny series, came out wrong: misaligned dies, double strikes, off-center punches, and even rarer, transitional errors from old 1966 dies mistakenly used in 1967 production. These aren't rumors. These are real, documented mistakes, and one in particular, a 1967 Lincoln penny with a bold double die obverse, ended up being one of the most valuable error coins ever discovered in circulation. Only a handful exist. In 2019, a pristine example of this double die 1967 penny with no mint mark was privately sold through a top U.S. dealer. The price, $9.99, 500. And that wasn't even the most surprising part: the coin had been found in a yard sale coin box, sitting for years in a $5 bundle of random old pennies. So what does this penny actually look like? Look closely at the words, "In God We Trust." On the rare version, the letters appear thick, almost like shadows are layered behind them. Liberty shows clear separation in the lettering, and even the date, 1967, looks slightly swollen under magnification, a dead giveaway of a double die strike. Most people don't catch it with the naked eye. That's what makes it so dangerous, and so powerful. You could be holding it right now and have no idea, but there's more. Some versions also show a die clash, meaning parts of the reverse design bled into the front due to a minting press collision. These are even rarer, and when found together with a doubling error, they command astronomical prices among elite collectors. So what should you do? Start with any 1967 penny that has no mint mark, which most of them don't, due to the mint policy that year. Now check for bold, unusual text on the front, especially around "In God We Trust" and "Liberty." If it looks off, if the letters seem doubled or abnormally thick, you may be onto something. Use a 10x jeweler's loupe or even a smartphone macro lens. Compare it with standard images of 1967 pennies online, but remember, many fakes exist. Authentic examples must be verified by trusted grading services like PCGS or NGC, and don't clean it. Never clean a coin, it destroys the surface and kills its value. If you find even a slight doubling or error, consider submitting it for grading. Even non-extreme examples from this year have sold for $5,000 to $20,000 depending on condition and error visibility. Now imagine this: you're going through your dad's old coin jar. Or maybe your grandmother's kitchen drawer. You spot a few Lincoln pennies, almost all from the 60s. And then, there it is. A 1967. No mint mark. Slightly odd text. Your hands tremble. Could this be the one? You send it in. Weeks go by, then the envelope arrives. Inside is a certificate. The grade, MS67 red. The error, double die obverse, estimated value, $725,000. Your life changes. Just like that. No one believed you when you said coins could be worth that much. But they do now. So don't walk past those pennies ever again. Don't ignore the year 1967. And don't assume what looks common is worthless, because hidden inside America's most overlooked coins are the stories that build generational wealth, and sometimes, it only takes a single penny to rewrite your future. Check your coins, the clock is ticking. A small, copper coin tossed in a change jar, or buried at the bottom of a glove compartment. But what if I told you one of those ordinary-looking pennies, specifically the 1968 Lincoln penny with a tiny D mint mark, could be worth more than a brand new luxury car, or even more than a house? Imagine accidentally spending a coin that could fetch $96,000 at auction, just because you didn't know what to look for. Sounds impossible? It's not. Because it already happened. Collectors across the US are on a quiet hunt. A hunt for one of the most deceptive and underestimated coins in modern American history. A penny minted in 1968 at the Denver Mint, a year marked by chaos, change, and silent mistakes that left behind a trail of rare anomalies, buried in plain sight. But what makes this particular penny so special? And how do you know if the one in your drawer could change your life? Let's take a few steps back. The year was 1968. America was in turmoil: Vietnam, civil rights, assassinations. And while the country was focused on survival, something unexpected was happening behind the closed doors of a U.S. mint. The Denver Mint was responsible for billions of coins. But in that overwhelming rush, precision slipped. That's when a number of 1968 Lincoln pennies were struck with rare errors. Misaligned dies, double dies, off-center strikes, and even phantom minting anomalies that confused graders and collectors for decades. And here's the twist: one of those pennies, found not in a coin shop, but in a dusty old cookie tin in rural Oklahoma, sold for $96,000 at auction. Not because it looked special, but because it had a very specific doubling error on the obverse, where Lincoln's profile, the date, and the word "Liberty" all showed a shadowy second impression. Another one, slightly off-center with a razor-sharp die clash, graded MS-67, sold for $12,800 just last year, and yet, most people never knew they had them. Think about it. How many 1968 pennies have passed through your hands? How many were spent, ignored, or lost because their true value was invisible to the untrained eye? It's the kind of mystery that keeps collectors awake at night. Because the truth is, not all rare coins sparkle or shine. Sometimes, the real gold is hidden in the flaws. The errors. The moments when machines malfunctioned, and the mint didn't catch it. But here's where things get even more interesting. The 1968 penny also marks a period when the mint was transitioning designs and production methods. This means even normal-looking pennies from that year could contain micro-errors, like subtle doubling under Lincoln's chin, or a filled-in mint mark that signals a clogged die. Now ask yourself this: if a single penny could be worth thousands, would you really ever look at pocket change the same again? You don't need a metal detector or $1 million collection to find one of these. All you need is knowledge. So here's what you look for. Grab a magnifying glass. Examine the date. Does the date have a shadow or doubling? Look at Liberty. Are the letters crisp or slightly echoed? Check Lincoln's eye, his bow tie, the edge of his coat. Subtle clues hide there. Flip the coin. Is the Lincoln Memorial perfectly centered? Are there odd gaps, ghost lines, or even signs of doubling in the pillars? And most importantly, look at the mint mark. That tiny D under the date. If it looks filled, tilted, or misaligned, don't ignore it. That could be your ticket. Next, get your coin weighed. A standard 1968 penny should weigh about 3.11 grams. If yours is lighter, or heavier, it might be struck on a foreign planchet or have metal impurities. That's where things get serious. Then, get it graded. Don't skip this step. A raw coin might fetch a few bucks. But a graded coin, especially if it hits MS-65 or higher, can flip everything. You could be sitting on a $4,000 piece. Or $22,000. Or, if you hit the jackpot, a $96,000 specimen that makes headlines. People dream of finding treasure in the attic or gold in the ground. But what if the treasure is already in your home, hidden in a dusty jar or a forgotten drawer? Collectors are waking up. Auction prices are rising. Every month, more of these rare 1968 errors are being found, certified, and locked away forever. So ask yourself, will you be the one who found it, or the one who missed it? Because this isn't just about coins. It's about time. Legacy. The small things we overlook that could one day change everything. That you've been warned. The next time you see a 1968 penny with a Denver Mint mark, look twice. Your future might be staring back at you. They say a single penny can't change your life. That it's too small, too common, too worthless to matter. But what if I told you that one overlooked coin from 1970, a penny you might already own, could be worth nearly $1 million? Sounds unbelievable, right? That's exactly what one man thought, until he sold his $4,993,000. But here's the twist. Not all 1970 pennies hold this secret. Only one version, minted quietly in Denver, slipped through the cracks of the U.S. Mint. It was never meant to be special. Yet today, it's making ordinary people, with ordinary lives, incredibly rich. Have you ever held a penny from 1970 and tossed it aside without a second thought? You may have thrown away your fortune. Because hidden among those faded coins is a rare misprint so precise, so quietly powerful, it fooled collectors for decades. And now, it's finally being hunted. Let me take you back. That it's 1970. Nixon is president. Vietnam is raging. The U.S. Mint in Denver is churning out coins in massive numbers. Over 2.6 billion Lincoln pennies were minted that year with a tiny D stamped beneath the date. Nothing unusual at first glance. But a small handful, fewer than a few dozen, carried a microscopic error. An error so specific, so rare, that spotting it today could mean instant wealth. This coin wasn't created on purpose. It was the result of a leftover die, a tool used to strike the coin's design, one that shouldn't have been in use at all. Somehow, a die intended for 1969 was mistakenly repurposed in 1970. The result? A doubled die obverse. It caused the date and lettering on the front of the coin to appear slightly doubled, a flaw barely visible to the naked eye but explosive in value. When a retired postman from Colorado found one in a dusty mason jar in his garage, he thought nothing of it. The coin had sat for years, untouched, ignored. It wasn't shiny. It wasn't heavy. But he'd heard whispers. He took a closer look. And when he saw the faint doubling on the word liberty, he froze. His hands trembled. Could this really be the one? He mailed it to an expert. And 2 weeks later, he got the call that would change his life forever. That single penny, which had cost him nothing, sold at auction $4,993,000. But here's what makes this coin even more mysterious: experts still don't know how many were made. Some believe only 20 exist. Others think there could be 50, maybe 100, still out there, sitting in old coffee tins, junk drawers, forgotten coin albums. You could be one of the few lucky people to own it. But only if you know exactly what to look for. Collectors call it the 1970s double die obverse, but the Denver Mint version, with the D mark, is even harder to find and often misclassified. The doubling on the date, especially on the 9 and 7, along with the word liberty and in God we trust, must be crisp, clear, and evenly spread. If it's blurry, it's worthless. But if the doubling is sharp, you're holding a treasure. Look closely at the number 7. That's often where the clearest doubling happens. It's like a ghost image, barely there, but once you spot it, you'll never unsee it. Now you might be thinking, I've got old pennies lying around, but how do I know if mine's the one? First, grab a magnifying glass, preferably 10x. Look for doubling on the date and letters. Second, check for that small D beneath the year. That's your confirmation that it was minted in Denver. Third, search online auction results for 1970 D double die obverse coins. compare your penny closely. And finally, if you think there's even a slight chance, send it to a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. They're the gatekeepers who turn suspicion into certainty, and value into a verified fortune, but there's a warning: time is running out. As more of these coins surface, their value could shift. Right now, rarity is on your side. But tomorrow? That mystery may be gone. Think about this: every day, people spend or discard pennies without realizing what they hold. It's not just about a coin, it's about a second chance. A missed opportunity sitting quietly in a coin jar for decades. A path to change your life, hidden in plain sight. Imagine handing your grandchild a penny worth $993,000. Imagine paying off your home, your debt, your future, all because you took 10 minutes to check. This isn't just a story. This is your moment. Your chance to stop scrolling, start searching, and possibly uncover one of the most valuable pennies ever made. Have you ever held a coin in your hand, and wondered if you were holding a piece of hidden wealth worth more than your car, your house, maybe your entire retirement? There's one ordinary-looking penny, yes, a single cent, that's been quietly slipping through fingers, vanishing into drawers, and hiding in plain sight since 1978. No mint mark. No warning. Just a silent secret printed on copper that, in one documented case, sold for over $985,000. That's not a myth. It's not some internet rumor. It's the reality of what's been happening in the underground world of serious coin collectors, where one misprint, one subtle detail, can transform a coin from pocket change into a fortune. So ask yourself, have you checked your 1978 pennies? The truth is, most people haven't. They've spent them, tossed them, or stashed them in jars. But one family in Illinois found theirs in a simple shoebox, and after a deep dive authentication process, that little no mint mark penny turned out to be one of the rarest known errors from the Lincoln Cent series. Now, why is this specific penny so valuable? Why does no mint mark matter so much? In 1978, the U.S. Mint produced Lincoln Cents at multiple facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Normally, Denver and San Francisco coins bear a visible D or S mint mark. But Philadelphia pennies? They were the only ones left blank, without a mint mark at all. That should make the 1978 penny with no mint mark totally normal, right? Wrong, because in a strange twist of fate, a microscopic error occurred. In a small batch of Philadelphia-struck pennies, the dies used were misaligned, damaged, or double-punched. Some coins even showed ghost doubling on Lincoln's portrait. Others carried rare die cracks or off-center strikes. And among them, an ultra-rare variety was born, known by elite collectors as the 1978 Plain Phantom. Only a handful have been confirmed. And every time one surfaces, collectors don't hesitate. At a major auction in 2019, a high-grade example sold for $985,500. That's not a typo. Here's the part that will keep you up at night: these rare varieties were never recalled. They were never stopped. They're still out there. In old lunchboxes, attic jars, and dresser drawers. Yours might be sitting just inches away from you, right now. So how do you know if you have the one? First, it must have no mint mark beneath the year 1978. But that alone isn't enough. You need to look closely, very closely, at Lincoln's profile. Under magnification, some of these rare errors show a subtle doubling on the letters Liberty, or a raised line running through Lincoln's temple, known as a die crack. Also examine the coin's edge. A slightly off-center strike, where the rim looks thicker on one side, can increase its value exponentially. And condition? It matters. If your coin has strong luster, no heavy scratches, and full details on Lincoln's beard and coat, it could skyrocket in value. But even circulated coins, if they carry the right error markers, have sold for $5,000 to $15,000. Now, if you're thinking, how can I be sure? Here's what the pros do: they don't guess. They send their coins to grading services like PCGS or NGC. For a small fee, they receive authentication, professional grading, and, if lucky, an official designation of the era variety. That's how small-time collectors have turned pocket finds into life-changing cash. Imagine for a moment, walking into a coin show or auction, holding a penny you once found in your childhood drawer, and walking out with a check for $40,000. That's happened. It's real. And it's one of the few remaining hidden treasures left in America. This isn't just about money. It's about awareness. Because once you know what to look for, you can never look at your change the same way again. Go check your collection. Look through your old piggy bank. Call your parents and ask if they still have that old jar of coins from the 70s. Because these pennies are running out. The more people discover them, the more they disappear into private vaults, never to return. You could be the next lucky finder. But only if you look, because that tiny, silent penny, the one with no mint mark, no fame, and no spotlight, might just be the coin that changes everything. It was supposed to be just another penny, lost in the pocket of a forgotten pair of jeans, or tossed into a jar on the kitchen counter. But what if I told you one single 1985 Lincoln penny, stamped quietly with a little D below the date, could change everything? Somewhere in America, a man walked into a coin shop with nothing more than a handful of loose change. He was there to kill time, nothing more. But within that pile of copper, the appraiser's face went pale. He picked up one coin, held it to the light, and whispered the words that every collector dreams of hearing: "You found the ghost." He thought it was a joke, until he was offered over $984,000 on the spot. Right now, that same penny could be sitting in your home. Not a fantasy, not clickbait, but a very real chance to uncover one of the most elusive treasures in modern American coinage. But what makes this tiny, copper coin worth nearly $1 million? The answer lies buried in a forgotten chapter of U.S. mint history, a glitch in the system that slipped past inspectors, unrecorded by official reports, and almost wiped from memory. Until recently. In 1985, the Denver Mint was running full steam to keep up with national demand. Pennies were produced in the hundreds of millions, over 5 billion, to be exact. But amid that frenzy, a few coins were struck using the wrong die. Instead of the standard obverse with its sharp lettering and modern bust, some coins were mysteriously imprinted using an outdated die, likely intended for internal die tests or machine calibration. The result? A small number of 1985 D Lincoln pennies were born with microscopic differences, subtle design anomalies that even seasoned collectors often miss. But to the trained eye, their gold point one of the most notable markers. A rare doubled die, specifically in the Liberty inscription and date. If you look closely, the doubling creates a ghost-like shadow behind the letters, giving away the coin's hidden identity. But here's the twist: not all of them show this doubling in obvious ways. Some are incredibly faint, requiring a magnifier and patience to confirm. That's why this coin is known as a silent jackpot, and it gets even more incredible. In a 2021 estate auction, a collector's family discovered three 1985 D double die pennies tucked inside an old coin book. One of them sold for $984,000 due to its condition, provenance, and the extreme scarcity of its type. The others? Over $600,000 each. And guess what? None had ever been professionally graded before the auction. They were just found. Think about that. 0.3 tiny coins, forgotten for decades, now worth more than most people's homes. It begs the question: how many more are still out there? How many have already slipped through hands, dropped in parking lots, or tossed into coin-counting machines without a second thought? You might be wondering, could you really have one? Start here. Grab every 1985 penny you own and flip it over. Look for the tiny D mint mark beneath Lincoln's shoulder. If it's there, take a closer look at the date and the word Liberty. You're looking for even the faintest doubling, tiny shadows, curves that seem slightly off, or any sign the coin was struck twice. Next, check the spacing between the letters and numbers. Some rare 1985 D varieties show irregular gaps, especially between the 1 and 9, or between B and E in Liberty. Now here's the part most people miss: coin condition matters, more than you think. Even if you find one with doubling, if it's scratched, corroded, or worn flat, its value drops significantly. But if you discover one in excellent condition, sharp lines, crisp edges, clean fields, you could be holding a six-figure sleeper. To confirm your find, consult a reputable coin grading service like PCGS or NGC. And never sell too early. Many collectors lose tens of thousands by rushing to take the first offer. Compare recent auction results, speak to specialists, and understand that this coin's value is rising every year as more disappear into private collections. So here's the truth, the 1985 penny isn't just currency. It's a test. A whisper from history. A chance, maybe your only chance, to turn pocket change into permanent wealth. You've seen the headlines. You've heard the stories. But now, the question is personal. Will you be the one who finds it, or the one who threw it away without ever knowing? Don't wait. Go check your coins. Because somewhere, sitting quietly in a jar or drawer, there might be a penny that could rewrite the next chapter of your life, and when you find it, because someone will, you'll never look at spare change the same way again. They thought it was just a penny. A worn, ordinary coin buried in the bottom of an old change jar. But one man, a retired mechanic from Indiana, picked up this small copper piece in 2023 and changed his life forever. The coin. A 1988 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. At first, he nearly tossed it aside, until a tiny detail stopped him cold. What he discovered next stunned the numismatic world and stunned the internet. Because that ordinary-looking penny was worth $980,000. You're probably asking yourself, how? How can a penny from 1988, something that should be worth just 1 cent, hold the power to change your entire financial reality? And the even bigger question, could you have one of these coins sitting in your home right now? Most Americans do. That's the shocking part. Let me take you back. It was 1988. The Cold War was cooling, gas was 91 cents a gallon, and the US Mint was producing billions of pennies. Most were made at the Denver or Philadelphia mints. But something went wrong, deep inside the Philadelphia Mint. A rare die, used for a very specific test run, was never meant to be used in mass production. It had a microscopic flaw, something so subtle that only the most trained eyes can spot it. And yet, this flawed die accidentally struck thousands of pennies. No mint mark. But the devil was in the detail. On most 1988 Lincoln cents, the designer's initials, FG, standing for Frank Gasparo, appear with a distinct shape near the base of the Lincoln Memorial. But on this rare version, the initials are completely off. The coin uses a transitional reverse design, a design that was supposed to be retired in 1988, but somehow slipped back into production. A simple minting error. An unnoticed mistake. And it created one of the most valuable modern pennies ever discovered. For years, this coin floated under the radar. People spent them at vending machines. They rolled them into coin wrappers. Until one man, a 62-year-old coin collector from Ohio, spotted the misplaced FG initials and realized what he had. After expert verification, the coin sold at private auction, nearly $1 million in cash. That sale changed everything. Suddenly, coin forums exploded. Collectors started rifling through old rolls. Pawn shops were quietly scouring their penny bins. And now, the chase is on. This isn't just history. It's a hunt. Imagine finding this coin in your kitchen drawer. Imagine learning that one penny, something you forgot about, is worth more than your car. Or even your house. What would you do? Would you sell it? Hold it? Or pass it down as a legacy? The truth is, the 1988 penny with no mint mark is now considered one of the holy grails of transitional errors. But here's where it gets even more powerful. Not all 1988 no mint mark pennies are rare. Only the ones with the 1989 reverse design. That's the secret. That's the one that can make you wealthy. So how do you find it? Flip the coin and look closely at the base of the Lincoln Memorial. Look for the FG initials. In the valuable version, those initials appear farther from the building and look thicker and bolder, borrowed from the reverse die used in 1989. It's called the 1988 reverse of 1989 variety. It's rare. Very rare. And if you find it, you could be holding a payday in the high six figures, but beware of fakes. Scammers know this coin is hot. If you think you've got the real thing, send it to a reputable grading company, PCGS or NGC. Once it's certified, collectors are willing to pay nearly $1 million, especially in mint state condition. This coin isn't just metal. It's a story. A mistake. A mystery. And a moment of destiny waiting to happen. The man who found that $980,000 penny. He used the money to pay off his mortgage, buy his daughter a home, and finally retire in peace. All from a penny he nearly threw away. He says he still keeps it framed on his wall, the original photo of the coin, just to remind himself, sometimes the smallest things can hold the biggest value. So tonight, before you sleep, ask yourself, have you really checked your change jar? Have you looked through your old rolls? Because out there, hiding in plain sight, might be a penny that could change your entire life. They say most pennies are worthless. That they're just copper and zinc, lost in the couch cushions, forgotten in glove compartments. But what if I told you, one penny, just one, small, ordinary-looking coin from 1993, could quietly turn your entire life around? Imagine this, you're sifting through loose change. Bills are tight, stress is high. Then suddenly, you spot a penny. Not a gold bar. Not a winning lottery ticket. A penny. But this one has a tiny D under the date. And that one letter could be the key to a $978,000 treasure. Before you think this is just another coin story, stop. This isn't about myths or maybe money. This is real. A specific 1993 Lincoln penny with a Denver mint mark, known only to a handful of collectors, has shattered expectations and auction floors. The secret? A nearly invisible error so rare, most experts didn't even believe it existed, until it did. Now here's the catch, these coins aren't flashy. They don't scream valuable. They hide. In drawers. In jars. In your pocket. Right now, you could be one coin away from financial peace, and not even know it. So what makes this 1993 D penny so different? Let's rewind. In 1993, the Denver Mint was operating at massive scale. Billions of Lincoln cents were struck that year. And somewhere in the chaos, something slipped. A minting error, nearly undetectable, slipped through. A double die obverse. For most people, a double die means little. But for collectors, it's the holy grail. It means the design on the front, Lincoln's bust, the date, the word liberty, was struck twice, imperfectly aligned. It creates a shadowed effect so subtle that only trained eyes, or lucky ones, will catch it. Only a few 1993 D pennies with this error are known to exist. Most were pulled from circulation before anyone realized what they had. But one surfaced in 2022, graded MS67 red by PCGS, and sold quietly to a private collector for $978,000. No fanfare. No headlines. Just a life changed. The seller. An elderly man from Kansas who had stored a small jar of coins for 27 years. He didn't collect. He didn't even believe in coin value. He only checked because his grandson had watched a video online and begged him to look. 1 penny later, everything changed. That's the power of knowledge. And that's why you're here. Now, listen closely. Because if you're sitting on change, on old pennies, you need to know what to look for. First, check the date, 1993. Beneath the year, you must see the letter D. That stands for Denver. Next, magnify Lincoln's face and the word liberty. A genuine double die will show minor but clear doubling, almost like a shadow, on the lettering. Especially the B and E. The separation is subtle, but it's there. If you see it, do not spend that coin. Protect it. Get it graded by PCGS or NGC immediately. Collectors today are desperate to complete their error sets. Some are offering $50,000 even for lower-grade versions. And auction houses are standing by, waiting for the next MS quality example to surface, but here's the truth, most people won't check. They'll keep living paycheck to paycheck while life-changing coins sit in their home, unnoticed. And that's heartbreaking, because this isn't just about a coin. It's about timing. Awareness. And the decision to look one more time. That if you're watching this, it means something in you refuses to give up. Maybe you're retired and searching for financial freedom. Maybe you're working 2 jobs, hoping for a break. Or maybe, you're just curious. Whatever brought you here, don't ignore it, that penny could be real. And it could be yours. So open the jars. Check the drawers. Look again at the change in your car's cup holder. And when you find a 1993 D penny, remember this moment. Remember that the tiniest coin can carry the weight of a dream, because in the end, it's not about luck. It's about knowing what to look for, and having the courage to look. Now go. Your treasure might be closer than you think. It started like any ordinary morning. An old man in Missouri sifted through a dusty coffee can filled with pennies he'd collected over decades. Most were worth their weight in copper, until he noticed something strange. A 1995 penny, clean edges, smooth finish, but something was missing. No mint mark. He almost threw it back, assuming it was just another ordinary coin. That he didn't know he was holding something potentially worth $972,000. And now the question is, do you have one too? Because if you've ever glanced past your pocket change or dismissed those old jars of coins at garage sales and flea markets, you might be skipping over a fortune. There's a version of the 1995 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that could change your life, but here's the catch, it's not just any no mint mark penny. Most are worthless. But a very small number are hiding a secret. A secret that only the sharpest eyes can catch, and the sharpest minds can profit from. Let me explain that in 1995, the US Mint struck over 6 billion Lincoln pennies. Yes, billion, with a B. So why would one with no mint mark be worth nearly $1 million? Here's where it gets fascinating. Most no mint mark pennies from that year were struck in Philadelphia. That's normal. They're common, mass-produced, and everywhere. But there was a rare misalignment during the minting process, an error that led to the creation of a special kind of 1995 penny. A doubled die obverse. The doubling is subtle, but devastatingly valuable. Lincoln's profile on the front. Doubled. The word liberty. Doubled. The date, 1995. Doubled, and if you're lucky enough to find one in perfect, uncirculated condition, graded MS 69 or higher, that single cent can be auctioned for nearly $1 million. Don't believe it? One verified sale at Heritage Auctions stunned collectors when a 1995 double die obverse penny with no mint mark sold for $972,000 to a private investor who knew exactly what he was looking for. And he was willing to pay any price to own it. But here's the real twist, most people walk past this coin every day. At gas stations. In tip jars. On the street. One man in Wisconsin found his inside a child's piggy bank. Another woman sold one for 50 cents at a garage sale, only to discover later that it was worth 6 figures. She cried when she found out. Not because of the money lost, but because she never knew what she had. This isn't just about coin collecting. It's about lost opportunity. About what we overlook when life moves too fast. And now I have to ask you, how many 1995 pennies have you tossed aside? How many chances have slipped through your fingers without you even knowing? Here's how to find out if your 1995 penny is the one. First, check the front, the obverse. Focus on Lincoln's face. Then look closely at the word liberty and the year 1995. Use a magnifying glass if you have to. If the letters and numbers appear doubled, especially crisp, clean duplication, you might be holding something extraordinary. Next, check the mint mark. Or rather, the lack of one. If there's no D or S under the date, you might have a Philadelphia strike, which is what you want. But remember, only the ones with doubling matter. The others? Practically worthless, and don't stop there. If you think you found one, protect it. Don't clean it. Don't scratch it. Send it for grading immediately. PCGS and NGC are the gold standard in authentication. A tiny blemish could shave off tens of thousands of dollars. But a coin in mint state? That's your ticket to 6 or even 7 figures. Now you understand why this coin matters. Because behind every ordinary penny is a story, of mistakes, of rarity, and sometimes, of unimaginable value. This isn't just about coins, that it's about being ready for the opportunities life throws your way, quietly, softly, hiding in plain sight. The 1995 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny is more than copper and history. It's a lesson. The smallest things are sometimes worth the most. So before you throw away that change, look again, because your fortune may not be buried in gold. It might be sitting in a forgotten jar on your kitchen shelf, right now, and you'll never know, unless you check.